店はどこですか？靴の店はデパートの中です。That works. Where is the shoe store?
I also need to know
The shoe store is inside the department store.
I
What's
also
that?
need to know the word for purse too, because that's important.
Ah, well, you can do kaban.
Kaban.
Kaban is bag, but you can, you know, you can do that for purse for now. But anyway, sometimes you handobagu.
Oh.
Handobagu. Yeah.
Yeah, because those two are important.
Yeah. Okay, so kutsu and then handobagu. Like that. Handobagu is handbag. So, 誰と映画に行きますか？友達と一緒に行きます。So, who are you going to a movie with? I'm going with a friend. That works. Okay. And then, 酒はどこですか? Okay, where is the sake? And then, how would you answer that?
あそこです。
Okay, あそこです. That works. Over there. It answers the question. Okay. And then, 喫茶店はどこですか? スーパーの左です. Where's the coffee shop? It's left of the supermarket. Okay. じゃあ、皆さんわかりますか? Everybody okay with these? Okay. So, let's see, I've got some dry stuff here for you guys. So, here's the deal. I made some photocopies of the kinds of stuff we're going to be doing with the OPIs. And I should have enough sets so that everybody can have something to work with, especially since we're missing some people today.
I know.
Yeah, so if you could just take one of these and pass them around, let everybody get one. And then I'm going to give everybody one or the other of these sets. Two sets together.
How long is the OPI going to be? Is it going to be the regular 50?
It's going to be around the same time, yeah. I think that seems to be a good amount for people. Like if I make it much longer than that, it doesn't necessarily add value because you run up against a wall of, I don't know what else to say eventually, right?
Right.
And so making it longer doesn't necessarily help, you know. And usually I've got a pretty good feel for how well you guys are communicating within the first few minutes. So making it draw out longer doesn't necessarily give me a better feel for how well you're able to communicate. Okay, so everybody's got some OPI sheets, right?
Kyonen is last week, right?
Sorry?
Kyonen is last week.
Kyonen is last year.
Year.
Yeah.
Kyonen.
Kyonen, yeah, Kyonen is last year. Nen is year.
Senshu.
Senshu is last week, yes. Yeah, I don't know if this class has covered Kyonen yet. I think that's a vocabulary word from a different source, yeah. Yeah, I think my other class has that word, so sometimes it throws me too, you know. You're getting it from other sources that you studied from, but I can't always remember what chapter a vocab word was covered in. So I know I've been hearing Kyonen a lot lately, but I think it was from my other group. You know, 'cause I'm pretty sure that was one of their vocab, either this chapter or last chapter. Okay. So,
Ryan is important.
okay. So here's an idea. Before we pair off,
Oh.
we're gonna do that too, don't worry, but before we pair off, now it's gonna be a group of 2 and a group of 3, because that's all we've got today. But before we do that, how about if we just use these OPI topics, the list,
Yeah.
and come up with a few random questions that you think you'd like to be able to ask. You know, and you can think in terms of just what you want to be able to say on the OPI, but you could also think in terms of real life. You know, if you were really meeting a Japanese person, or let's say you join one of these apps or Skype groups or whatever, where you get to Skype with a native speaker who wants to learn English, and you help them with English and they help you with Japanese. There are all kinds of things like that out there. Let's say you're joining something like that. What are some of the things that you might actually want to ask somebody in Japan? Think in those terms. You can leave that out. Yeah, you can put anakawa, but you don't have to.
No, their name first.
Yeah, if you know their name, the name plus san wa is actually a good way to make it clear that you're asking that person the question. So if you're corresponding with somebody named Mariko, for example, Mariko-san wa nansai desu ka? You know, or Mariko-san wa, I don't know, taite 音楽を聴きますか? Or, you know, whatever question you might want to be asking, right? よくテレビを見ますか? You know, 子供の時、猫が好きでしたか? You know, whatever. Okay. So. Yeah, it could be about a few minutes to just come up with a few kinds of questions that you might like to come up with. So there, and then we'll practice. I'll have you guys read your questions and pick people in class that you want to ask it of, and we'll practice doing it verbally, since that's what the OPI is all about.
Yeah, Ryan's on. Ryan's on this time.
So, just one to start with, and you can choose who you want to pick on to make it answer it. Maybe one of the people who volunteered you.
Could you use torimas for take a walk?
Torimas
Yeah.
is to take pictures.
It's all pictures. Yeah.
Oh, I see what you did. Take something else, not take a walk. No, sanposuru is take a walk. We haven't had that one yet. But no, toru does get used for some other things, like testo toru, take a test. But for now, shashino toru is the only one you guys have actually had.
Okay. Do something ンさん。
うん。
猫がありますか？
Are you asking if she has a stuffed animal or a live cat?
あ、猫がいますか？
There you go.
I thought you asked if she had meat.
Oh,
肉。
she said, he said 猫な肉。
いいえ、猫がありません。あります。います。いません。
いません。
いません。
Yeah, 猫がいません。Okay, so, okay, she answered your question, so now it's her turn to ask one of hers, and you can pick anybody you want to ask.
I guess I'll just go back and forth. Back.
Okay.
Yeah. Hold on. バス停はどこですか？
Okay, 学校の前です。That works. Okay, let's let some new people get in on the action. Wu-san, どうぞ。
エリさん、本屋に行きません。
本屋、not
本屋に行きませんか？
はい。
どうして本が好きですか？
仕事です。
仕事です。あ
I got a new job.
イエーイ、頑張って。
I work at the bookstore.
Nice. Which one? The campus?
Titusville one.
Oh, the Titusville campus bookstore? Nice. どうぞ。
Okay. Ryan san. I have so many recently. I'm gonna find a hard one. Okay. デパートで買い物を買いませんですか？
買いませんか？
Oh, 買いません。
Or 買いませんでしたか? Which are you asking? Did you not
I think
buy
I put
or
need
did you,
dash
won't you buy?
dash.
That sounds,
Yeah.
that sounds like
デパート
invitation.
で買い物を買います。
買いましたか?
買いましたか? I'm asking did he go shopping?
Yeah,
I got
買いましたか?
買いましたか?
Yeah.
いいえ。何も食べなくて。
何も買いませんでした? I don't think we've covered that yet, have we?
I don't think so.
No.
全然
全然買いま
せんでした。
買いませんでしたね。
Yeah, that's what I need.
Just ask.
Okay.
Usually yes or no.
Just using how as our example. So this is the positive versus the negative. This is the present, future versus the past. Okay, so kaimasu, kaimasen are both present / future tense, right? Positive and negative, and kaimashita, kaimasen deshita, past positive, past negative. So if you're asking the question, did you do X, Y, Z? You would use this form to ask the question, right? Kaimashita ka? So, for example, if you wanted to put a time frame to it, you could say, Senshu, depato de kaimono shimashita ka? By the way, kaimono, because it's a noun phrase, kaimono o shimashita.
Oh.
買い物をしました. So 買い物をしましたか or デパートで and then you can name the kind of noun を買いましたか.
That's more easier.
Yeah. So 買い物をしましたか would be did you do any shopping? Just general kind of shopping. And you could put it to a place like デパートで. So did you do any any shopping at the department store versus 靴の店で買い物をしましたか or 本屋で買い物をしましたか or スーパーで買い物をしましたか you know, those are all different kinds of shopping depending on where you might be going, right? But they're all 買い物. So you can give it a place and then 買い物をしましたか or the alternative would be, let's say you wanted to find out if he bought books in particular. So you could say 本を買いましたか Okay, so you see the difference? So if you've got a specific item in mind, you can do that item o and then the verb 買いました. Right? If you've got more of a general idea of just shopping in general, did he do any kind of shopping? 買い物をしましたか? And then if you wanted to make that slightly more specific, you could put a particular location in as, did he do shopping at this kind of store? Make sense?
Yeah, so like if they say that one, you could be like, Doko desu ka?
Right, yeah, so 本を買いましたか? はい、本を買いました. Yes, I bought books. どこで買いましたか? Where did you buy books? 本屋で買いました. At the bookstore. Or 図書館で買いました. Sometimes libraries have book sales, right? Got some used books for cheap. You know, or デパートで買いました. Maybe the department store has a book section, right? You know, what else? There could be other places where you might find books for sale, right? スーパーで本を買いました. It's possible. Some supermarkets have a small book and magazine section, right? At least they used to. I don't know if anybody does that anymore. Walmart does.
Yeah. Target's like a supermarket.
Right, yeah. So, yeah, depending on what kind of store you're talking about, right? But going back to the grammar of the verbs, you can do, on the positives, present or past, you can do 買いますか? Will you buy, or do you buy habitually, right? And you can do 買いましたか? Did you buy? And then 買いませんか? What does that do? If you put the question on the
Did you not
present
know?
negative.
Invitation.
Did you not
An
know?
invitation.
Invitation, yes, it's an invitation.
Oh, yeah.
買いませんか? Won't you buy? Right? So, for example,
Would the sales associate say that to you?
it's possible, it's not that common, but like, let's say you guys are friends, you're classmates, and you're doing like a charity fundraiser kind of sale, and you're selling those chocolate bars that go for $1 each,
Yeah.
right? And you might say, チョコレートを買いませんか? Because you're talking to somebody you know.
Yeah.
It's not as common with a store clerk that you don't know, they're just a store clerk. 買いませんか sounds more like an invitation, like, won't you do this? So I would say that it's more likely if you're the one
Mhm.
selling it as a friend to another friend and you're hoping, won't you please buy this because I'm raising money for a good cause, you know? That's more likely. Okay, but other than that, usually you don't really hear 買いませんか all that often. You hear it more with like しませんか won't you do, like テニスをしませんか inviting your friend to play tennis with you. Or, you know, 食べませんか won't you please eat some of this that I just baked, you know? Something like that is more common. Make sense? And then kaimasen deshita, usually you wouldn't hear that in the negative very often. Kaimasen deshita ka is a little bit of an odd construction. I mean, grammatically possible, but just not commonly said. You know, does that make sense? Okay. What's that?
This is difficult.
Okay. Well, that's why I wanted you guys to have these handouts to practice with, and you can take them home and, you know, come up with sample questions and how you would answer them to hopefully then be prepared for whatever crazy concoction your partner might come up with.
I
Right.
use this website called Learning Aid, where I like, you know, you write sentences and you have
Mhm.
your speakers correct you.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of
That's
it's a
good.
good way to, you know if you're doing it right.
Right. Okay. So let's see, Mako-san, you didn't get a chance to ask any of your questions yet. So do you want to ask?
大抵、ごめんなさい。大抵図書館の中読みますか？
図書館の中、
Oh, no. No, ね。
図書館の中
Oh. で、
で、yes.
読みますか？
図書館の中で読みますか？ Is that the question?
はい。
はい。
Wait, why don't you use the, yeah.
Okay, we'll come back to that. Let him answer first.
よく図書館で読みます。
はい。いいですね。Okay, so the question was why de, right?
はい。
So if you're going to the Toshokan, right? Toshokan, then what?
図書館に、
Ni or et
yeah,
ikimasu, right?
right?
Okay. If you're explaining that something or someone is in the Toshokan,
図書館の、
Toshokan, let's say let's say the person is in the Toshokan, or you're saying that the books are in the Toshokan, something like that.
it'll be 中のね。で、に、
Ni, yes, article ni here, Toshokan ni imasu, or Toshokan ni arimasu. Okay,
then what about when you're describing when something is next to something or something is inside?
you can use no naka, yes, Toshokan no naka, or whatever, or, yeah, Toshokan no naka, or Toshokan no tonari desu. That's where you don't use a particle after here. Okay? But if you're talking about an action happening in a location, then it becomes Toshokan de, and then an action verb like yomimasu. Okay, so the contrast here is based on what verb are you using it with. Okay?
So if you're going to it, it's me, but if you're doing something within it or around it, then it's they.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So action occurring at the place
Right.
is de. Traveling to or from the place, use ni or at. explain existence in a place also takes ni. Now, you probably remember ga being the particle that was associated with these. That's for the thing that exists. So, I move this over a little bit. Toshokan ni hon ga arimasu, for example, or sensei ga imasu. So there's a teacher in the library, or there are books in the library.
Did you ask, do you read in the library?
You can read inside the building.
Yeah, so toshokan de yomimasu ka, or toshokan no naka de yomimasu ka. You still need the de because the no naka here is just further narrowing, like being more specific inside the library, as opposed to on a bench outside the library, which might still be considered at the library because it's on a bench that's associated with the library, right? So if you've got your library building here, right, and you've got like a little bench over here outside the front door, you know, somebody could sit here on the bench to read a book, and you might still consider that toshokan de hono yomimasu, right? But if they're inside here somewhere, toshokan no naka de hono yomimasu. But either way, you could still say toshokan de hono yomimasu, right? So the no naka is like a little added detail, but it's not mandatory to make the sentence make sense. Okay? Where you need the no naka is when you're explaining, for example, the location of something or someone. So, you know, John-san wa doko desu ka? Where's John? Toshokan no naka desu. Or toshokan no naka ni imasu. Either one. He's inside the library. You're trying to find John, just telling your friend he's over there might not be much help. If you say toshokan no naka desu, he's inside the library, that gives them, you know, a little bit more specific information. That's the difference. Does that make sense? Okay. Questions about that? Okay, let's look at our other sheets. You guys got either an OPI 4A or OPI 4B sheet, right? Some of you got A's, some of you got B's. Okay. And so depending on which one you got, you've got a map that, you've got actually 3 different maps and a schedule, right? For each map, the things that you're looking for are right next to it, and the things that your partner is looking for, the answers are on that map. So for example, if you're doing the first little map at the top of your sheet, if yours says you're looking for the cafe, the supermarket, and the hospital, well, those are marked on your partner's thing, okay? They may be marked on yours too, but they're definitely marked on your partner's. And if it says you're looking for the post office, the park, and the bus stop, then what that means is if you've got the one that says you're looking for the cafe, you're going to ask, where's the cafe? Which is going to be, we can put that sentence together. Where is the cafe? There you go. Kisaten wa doko desu ka? And then your partner is going to look at their version of that map and figure out, oh, the kisaten is inside the hotel. So you could say, kisaten wa, there you go, hai, hoteru no naka desu. Right? Remember how that worked? Just like we were talking about, John was in the library, kisaten wa hoteru no naka desu. Okay? For the second picture, again, you've got a list of a bunch of things that you're looking for, some animate, some inanimate, right? You might have to find the dog or the cat or the doctor or the student, as well as the restaurant or library or whatever. And you're going to explain their locations relative to other things in the same picture. Okay? So for example, if you've got OPI 4B and you're looking for the restaurant, who could explain where the restaurant is in that picture?
Restaurant wa super no hitari desu.
Okay, Suba no Hidari desu. Okay, to the left of the supermarket, that works. From the perspective of people sitting up on the hill here with Mary and Kenji. Okay, Suba no chikaku desu or Suba no tonari desu. Yeah, chikaku just means near, which might be less descriptive for some people. It might be less helpful, but Suba no tonari desu, next to, that's a little bit more specific. That might be a little bit more helpful for somebody looking for this restaurant, right? Okay, and then the bottom map, this is the one that's a real information gap exercise because your list of things aren't shown on your map. They're only shown on your partner's map and vice versa. So like if your map, if you've got B and you're looking for the hospital, well, you can't even see the hospital on your version of the map, but if your partner's got A, they can find Byoin on their map and explain to you where it is, right? So, and the same thing for the schedule. The schedules are true information gap exercises where, you know what your schedule is for certain days and you've got other days when you don't have any plans. Your partner has their own schedule that might be completely different. And so for that activity, you're going to be asking each other when you have free time to try to figure out when you can do something together. And if you look back at the other sheet that had general prompts and things on it, you can see that that corresponds to number 3 of the topics for conversation on here. Number 1 was just sort of general questions asking when, where, how often, for how long your partner did or didn't do various activities in the past and with whom. Number 2, your partner's normal schedule and habits or future plans, with whom and for how long. Part 3, you're inviting your partner to do things together and discover when you'll both have free time, so use the schedule provided or your own. So if you want to just talk off the top of your head and think about your real schedule in real life, that's okay. But if that's too difficult, you've got a schedule on your sheet that you're going to be able to work from, that you can use instead. And so you can just pretend that this is your schedule and pretend the other one is your partner's schedule. And you can make plans based on whether or not you've got free time on any given day. So, if you want to do something together on Sunday and your schedule shows that you're free all day Sunday, you can suggest to your friend, hey, let's go see a movie Sunday night. And they might say, well, I've got plans for Sunday night, but we could do Sunday morning. And then you're like, no, I want to sleep in Sunday morning, So, hi.
Are we going through in the OPI and going to each of these activities?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
on the OPI, I think it's going to be more like you pick and choose. Maybe we'll just do one of the map things. Maybe you'll do a little bit of schedule, and then you'll do a little bit of more free-form question and answer stuff from here, talking about present or future or past or some combination of the 3, think, I haven't decided yet exactly how I want to do it, but I'm actually considering cutting these apart from each other for the test, so that instead of getting a sheet that looks like this, you'll pick a piece. And based on what piece you get, you and your partner will do that conversation. You know, so if you happen to pick the piece that is the bottom map, for example, then you would do the questions and answers about that map. If you happen to pick the piece about the top map, you would do the top map instead. I'm thinking about doing it that way, because I think 3 different map exercises is too many. We wouldn't even have time to do anything else if we did all those. But I'm thinking, you know, a few minutes on one of the maps, a few minutes on the schedule type thing, either your own or this one, and then a few minutes on just sort of other general questions and answers, whatever you guys want to come up with on your own. I think that's going to give me a better idea of how well you can communicate with all these different things. So, but this is your preparation sheet. So it's got all of it because I want you guys to be able to prepare for all of it. So these are for you to take home and practice with, and also practice with today in class. So, does anybody have other questions? Or were there types of things that you wanted to be able to say about any of this stuff and you weren't sure how to put it together?
How do you say jogging?
Jogging good.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
That's not hard.
Yeah. So,
How is it? It's a borrowed word?
sorry?
Jogging is a borrowed word?
Yeah, jogging good.
Do they not exercise?
Well, jogging is a modern concept. I mean, you know, traditional sports in Japanese culture were things like sumo
Yep.
and archery, kendo, karate, stuff like that, right? You know,
It's all
what?
fighting. It's all fighting weapons.
Yeah, well, for a large part of their history, you know, exercise wasn't like an activity you did for an hour a day. You were a farmer, you were out working in the fields all day long, or you were a samurai and you were either fighting or training for fighting all day long, right? Or you were a member of the aristocracy and you were sitting there writing poetry all day long. And your only exercise was hauling yourself up in those incredibly heavy formal robes and walking 3 feet and then plopping down again. It's amazing that the rich people of Japan weren't all fat because they just didn't have a lot of exercise in there. The aristocracy, they weren't necessarily fat, but they were, well, the women never got a chance to get fat because they were wearing like 12 pounds of clothing every day, you know. So if there are no particular questions, I want to let you guys break up into small groups and practice together. Okay? Any question, Marianne?
No.
No? Okay. So do the 3 of you want to work together here?
Yeah, okay.
And then you guys over there? Works? I only have 2 versions, so there's going to be some overlap between somebody and somebody.
You guys have the same schedule.
Yeah, those 2 have the same. So that's okay, you guys can practice. Oh, and then the other sheet I forgot to mention is the little bedroom. And you've got,
Which one do you want to do?